A gracious good day to one and all once again. 'Tis I, Norton the First, by grace of God, Emperor of the United States, and Protector of Mexico. Back with you all once again for episode number 205 of Emperor Norton's fantastic history vlog. Today is April 7, 2021. We'll be covering the week of April 7 to the 13th, and this is our 388th day living under COVID-19 restrictions. So, some programming notes this morning. First of all, we have not been aware of any official earthquake commemoration this year, and we fully understand why, because there's still a pandemic going on and large gatherings are not safe, just as they were last year. So what we are planning to do this year, as we did last year, was have a virtual commemoration. Now, last year we did it via Facebook Live and got some people, but we've decided to open it up to a wider audience this year, so we have scheduled a Zoom meeting for 4:45 a.m. on April 18. Do not show up at Lotta's Fountain. This will be all virtual. If you would like to send an email to emperornortontour@gmail.com, we will send you the login information for that morning. We are not doing this affiliated with any of the groups that we belong to. This is all something we're doing on our own. In addition, as I said, do not show up at Lotta's Fountain. And also, if you have anything to contribute, let us know. However, we felt it was important not to let this year pass without some sort of commemoration. So please join in if you want to get up at that hour. A lot of us do every year, and we certainly miss it. We know you do too, so that's why we decided to do something. We will put out more information as the date gets closer. However, if anything official gets scheduled, we will gladly give up our Zoom event if somebody else is doing something in a more official capacity. And we will send a message to anyone who signed up for our event to attend the other event as well. So we're not trying to step on anyone's feet here or anything like that. We just want to make sure that something gets done this year. And then hopefully in 2022, we can all gather at Lotta's Fountain once again, but not this year. Can't stress that enough. There was a lot of people last year who thought that we were advocating for that. No, we would never jeopardize the public safety by doing anything like that. Number two, our tours are starting again. We are in the orange tier right now. We're about to move to the yellow tier. So April 17, we will be skipping the 24th, and then it's pretty much every Saturday after that at 11 a.m. Want more information? emperornortontour.com, and if I think we gave out the email address earlier, it's emperornortontour@gmail.com to communicate with us. Lastly, we invite you to like, subscribe, and comment down below. Please share this vlog with your friends. We are a little disappointed, frankly, that our viewership has taken a bit of a dive in recent weeks. We were getting into the hundreds for a while there, and now it's back down to levels that we just don't feel are adequate. So we are hoping to increase our viewership. You can help us with that. Tell your friends, share this video, and as we said before, like, subscribe, and comment down below. Press the little bell so you find out when we have new episodes. But basically, it's every Wednesday and Saturday, sometimes Sunday, sometimes Thursday. But generally, Wednesdays and Saturdays is where you can find not only us, but the Countess Lola Montez of Lansfeld on our weekend special edition. Also, we greatly appreciate your generous donations. They have certainly helped us out tremendously during these uncertain times. So here's where you can leave a donation if you care to, and we certainly appreciate that. Hats off to our generous donors. Well, let's get on with the show, shall we? We'll begin with our national days. We have a few today. April 7th, today is International Beaver Day, so pet your beaver. And National Beer Day. Well, it's a little too early for a beer, although we've done it before. But maybe if you're all very good, we'll put up our recipe someday for a chilada, which is basically clamato with various seasonings and a nice light lager. We'll talk about that in another episode. April 8th is Dog Farting Awareness Day, and believe me, we are very familiar with that. April 9, National Chinese Almond Cookie Day. Now that's very important. The almond cookie, first of all, is delicious. They got them at the Eastern Bakery on Grant Avenue and Commercial. And please, patronize Chinatown. The businesses certainly need your help. We were there last week having a lovely lunch at the Far East Cafe, and it was just wonderful. So go grab some Chinese almond cookies or whatever else you can in Chinatown. They certainly need it. April 10 is International Safety Pin Day to all the punks out there. Oi! And April 11 is World Parkinson's Disease Day. This is a cause that is very near to our hearts. We have relatives who have Parkinson's disease. We do not actually have it, but we are part of a wonderful study through the University of Indiana, sponsored by the Michael J. Fox Foundation, about Parkinson's research. We go in for a battery of tests twice a year to help science. So if you'd like more information about that, contact us. We'll gladly share that for you. They are still looking for people to participate in the study. April 12th is International Day of Human Space... Sorry, got that wrong. International Day of Human Spaceflight Day. That doesn't make any sense. That's from the Department of Redundancy Department. International Human Spaceflight Day. We'll just call it that. And that is to commemorate that Yuri Gagarin was the first person in space 60 years ago on April 12. And April 13 is Thomas Jefferson Day, one of our favorite presidents, and it is his 278th birthday. Well, let's move on to our segment today. As we have been doing for the last couple of weeks, we're only tackling one thing, but we are doing it in depth. This is another food one. It's too complicated to prepare for you in our studio here, but we will give you the recipe at the end, and that is the story of chicken tetrazzini. A favorite of the 1950s casserole craze, chicken tetrazzini has fallen out of favor. Although recipes for the turkey version often appear on wrappers for frozen Thanksgiving turkeys, the recipe has sort of disappeared. Not unlike the recipe itself, chicken tetrazzini's story is a hodgepodge, but involving opera, Christmas, and the Great San Francisco Earthquake and Fire of 1906. It all begins in Florence, Italy on June 29, 1871, with the birth of Luisa Tetrazzini. Working with various local teachers, including her sister Eva, who also had a remarkable voice, Luisa would make her operatic debut in her hometown in 1890 due to a scheduled singer withdrawing from the production of Les Africains. She would go on to tour Russia, Spain, and South America before her San Francisco debut in 1905 to great acclaim, becoming known as the Florentine Nightingale. She was a coloratura soprano, had a very high voice. It was there that Metropolitan Opera general manager Heinrich Conried optioned her, but failed to use her in the Met's performances. Luisa would eventually make her way to New York, dazzling audiences, and subsequently she signed an exclusive contract with Oscar Hammerstein's Manhattan Opera Company. Now, this is the father of Oscar Hammerstein Jr., the one who composed all those musicals on Broadway. Her contract with Hammerstein prevented her from singing elsewhere, and after hearing of the Great San Francisco Earthquake and Fire of 1906, she wanted to return to the city to help raise funds for relief and give comfort to the people after the disaster. Hammerstein would not let her out of her contract, and after filing a lawsuit, she proclaimed, "I shall sing in San Francisco, if I must sing in the streets, for I know that the streets of San Francisco are free." After settling her lawsuit, she traveled to San Francisco, and on Christmas Eve 1910, a stage was erected near Lotta's Fountain at the corners of Market Geary and Kearny. By press accounts, a crowd of over 200,000 people gathered on that clear and chilly night, and at 8 p.m. Tetrazzini took the stage, dressed in a long gown and an ermine coat, and sang for half an hour such favorites as The Last Rose of Summer and Auld Lang Syne. Without any amplification whatsoever, the crowd could hear every note Tetrazzini sang. Many consider that concert to be the moment when San Francisco felt recovered from the great disaster of 1906. If you were to go to Lotta's Fountain today, on the side facing the Palace Hotel, you will see a plaque at the very top commemorating that wonderful and magical night. After a successful career, Luisa Tetrazzini would pass away on April 28, 1940, and she is buried in Milan, Italy. They did try to reenact the concert in 1911. It was actually held across the street that time in front of the Hearst building. The first concert was held at the DeYoung building right opposite Lotta's Fountain. Luisa could not make it. I believe she was sick, but she did send a letter which was read to the audience. The concert was also reenacted on the Centennial in 2010. Now, as with true of many recipes, the origins of chicken tetrazzini are murky at best. Some credit its birth to legendary chef George Auguste Escoffier of the Hotel St. Francis, but it is not to be found in any of his cookbooks. But some say his recipe appears in the Christian Science Monitor in October 1908 and the Chicago Tribune in 1911. The generally accepted story, and this is supported by none other than the famous chef James Beard, is that it was created by San Francisco Palace Hotel's chef Ernest Arbogast either in 1904 after one of Tetrazzini's San Francisco concerts, although it said here earlier it didn't appear until 1905. There's a little contradiction for you. Oops. And her name was constantly in the papers in 1908 after her New York debut or in 1910 to honor her for her Christmas Eve concert. Others will credit the dish to the Hotel St. Francis's chef Victor Hertzler. However, the recipe does not appear in his Hotel St. Francis cookbook. We've not been able to verify this, but it is said that the recipes for potatoes tetrazzini and peach tetrazzini do. We did look up the index the other day and could not find those recipes, so that looks like some bad reporting right there. This dish reached the height of its popularity in the 1940s and 50s when casseroles were all the rage. Now, with diets becoming healthier in the 1970s, the dish fell out of favor. However, Stouffer's still makes a frozen turkey tetrazzini, which you can find in your grocer's freezer, and there are freeze-dried versions that are very popular among campers. In addition, recipes, as I said earlier, can be found on the wrappers of frozen turkeys as a possible use for Thanksgiving leftovers. The recipe for chicken or turkey tetrazzini is fairly simple, basically being a white sauce, a bechamel, with turkey added, poured over cooked pasta and baked. Ingredients like sherry, onions, celery, and mushrooms are often added to the bechamel, and the casserole is usually topped with breadcrumbs, Parmesan cheese, and almonds. Recipes abound, and unfortunately the original Arbogast recipe is unavailable. Some call for shortcuts like using cream of mushroom soup or chicken soup, cream chicken soup, but made from scratch is always the best. The Palace Hotel proudly claims the dish's invention, but none of its restaurants serve it today. Indeed, we could not find a single restaurant in San Francisco that still serves chicken or turkey tetrazzini. If you find one, please let us know. We'd like to have one. We have made it. And here's the recipe that we use. It's actually Martha Stewart's recipe, and that's a good thing. Preheat an oven to 400 degrees. Bring a large pot of salted water to boil for the pasta. In a large saucepan, melt 2 tablespoons butter over high heat. Add a pound of white mushrooms that have been trimmed and sliced. Season with salt and pepper. Cook, tossing frequently until tender and browned, about 8 to 10 minutes. Transfer to a bowl and set aside. Next, we make the sauce. In the same saucepan, melt the remaining 4 tablespoons of butter over medium heat. Add 1/2 cup of all-purpose flour. Cook, whisking about 1 minute, whisking constantly. Gradually add 3 cups of warmed milk. And let's see, how much broth? We don't see. Oh, here it is. 1 can, 14.5 ounces of reduced sodium chicken broth, and also 3/4 cup dry white wine. Bring to a boil, reduce to simmer, and add 2 cups of Parmesan cheese and thyme, seasoned with salt and pepper. This is where we would add the sauteed onions and peas, etc., also the celery. Cook the pasta for 2 minutes, less than the package instructions, or al dente. Drain and return to pot, and divide between 2 shallow 2-quart baking dishes. Sprinkle with remaining Oh wait, toss well to combine, pardon me. Add sauce, chicken, peas, and mushrooms. Forgot that part. Whoops. Toss well to combine. Divide between 2 shallow 2-quart baking dishes. Sprinkle with remaining Parmesan. This is where we also add the breadcrumbs and the almonds. Freeze or bake until browned about 30 minutes. Let stand 10 minutes before serving. It is delicious, not particularly healthy, but delicious. So, that wraps it up for today's edition. Now, don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment down below. Share this with others. Turn on the notifications so you find out when we get a new episode. Don't miss a single episode. Also, if you'd like to make a donation to us, they are greatly appreciated. Here's where you can do that. Tours return, as we said earlier, on April 17. Sign up at EmperorNortonTour.com. If you have any correspondence for us, please email EmperorNortonTour@gmail.com. We, of course, will be back on Saturday with the Countess Lola Montez of Lansfeld for another special weekend episode. So until we see you again, stay safe and stay healthy. Be kind to one another. Until we see you again, a gracious good day.